You've seen it. One person barely speaks, and the entire room leans in, commanding the room with effortless power and charisma. Another talks endlessly, and no one remembers a word. Same room, same audience, completely different presence. And believe it or not, it isn't what most of you are thinking, which is why we made this video. And why, if you are truly looking to become instantly more charismatic and attractive, you will keep watching until the end. The people who command the most respect don't perform. They don't chase validation. They don't fill silence out of fear. They speak less and say everything. And that's the paradox. In a noisy world, the quiet ones stand out. Because influence isn't built on clever words, it's built on presence. Today, I'm going to show you 6 phrases that quietly change every conversation you'll ever have. Not tricks, not tactics, just truth, distilled into 6 phrases. But here's what I need you to understand. These only work if you actually use them. Because knowledge without practice, that's just another distraction. If you're ready to stop performing and start commanding respect, to master the art of saying less and meaning more, then listen closely, because each lesson you're about to hear isn't about sounding powerful. It's about becoming powerful. And once you understand how presence truly works, you'll never speak the same way again, starting with one phrase that does something most people never do. It makes you unforgettable by making you forget yourself. So let's begin with the first lesson that separates surface-level conversation from genuine connection. Lesson 1. Tell me more about that. Most people think being interesting means having something to say, but the truth is, the most magnetic people are the ones who make others feel interesting. When someone speaks, most of us start planning our reply before they even finish their sentence. We wait for the pause, not to understand, but to jump in. We listen to reply, not to connect. That's performance. That's ego disguised as engagement. Presence, on the other hand, sounds like this. Tell me more about that. 4 simple words, but they transform the entire dynamic of a conversation. When you say them, you're not trying to control the room. You're opening it. You're saying, I want to step into your world for a moment. Show me what you see. And that kind of curiosity is rare, because most people don't actually want to understand. They want to be understood. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus reminded his students, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak. Listening to the Stoics was not passive. It was an act of discipline, a way of seeing the world without judgment. Modern life has trained us to perform interest. We nod, we smile, but real listening, the kind where you're fully there, feels different. People sense it. They relax, they open up, they go deeper, because they're not used to it. Most of the time, they're just waiting for someone to stop talking long enough for them to start again. So when you say, tell me more about that, and actually mean it, you give someone something they rarely receive: permission to be fully seen. And here's what's truly magnetic. They don't walk away thinking, wow, that person was so interesting. They walk away thinking, I felt interesting talking to them. That's the difference between charisma and presence. Charisma demands attention, presence gives it. So use this phrase, not as a trick, but as an invitation. Mean it. Be curious. Let silence stretch a little longer than feels comfortable. Because curiosity isn't weakness, it's strength under control. And once you master it, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. People start seeking you out, not because you speak well, but because you listen deeply. But what happens when someone asks you something and you don't have the answer? That's where most people break presence and try to fake it. Lesson 2. I don't know. We live in an age terrified of uncertainty. Everyone wants to sound sure, even when they're not. So they bluff, they posture, they fill the air with words that mean nothing, hoping confidence will hide confusion, because silence feels dangerous, and I don't know feels like defeat. But here's the paradox. The moment you can say, I don't know, calmly, without fear, without shame, you instantly earn more respect than the person pretending they do. Because honesty creates gravity. It's the sound of someone anchored in truth, not floating in ego. Think about how rare that is. Someone asks a question, and instead of forcing an answer, you pause, you breathe, you say, I don't know. That pause, that stillness, feels different. It feels real. It's the moment when the noise falls away and authenticity takes its place. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Socrates, the man who set the foundation for all Stoic thought, built his legacy on a single sentence. I know that I know nothing, not as self-deprecation, but as discipline, because pretending to know closes the door to learning. Admitting you don't, that's how the door opens. Cato practiced this too. He was known not for knowing everything, but for refusing to speak on what he didn't understand. To him, restraint was integrity. Wisdom wasn't about having all the answers. It was about knowing when not to speak. And Marcus Aurelius, in his private writings, reminded himself, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone. That's the essence of I don't know. It's not ignorance. It's openness. It's saying, I value truth more than pride. Modern life, though, punishes that humility. Scroll through any feed, and you'll see millions of people arguing with absolute certainty about everything. Everyone's an expert. Everyone's convinced. But certainty without wisdom is just noise with confidence. When you can pause in that chaos and admit, I don't know, you become something rare, trustworthy, because truth, when spoken from calm, carries its own authority. You don't need to perform it, you embody it, and people can feel the difference. They may not know why they trust you, but they do. Because you sound like someone who isn't trying to win. You sound like someone who's grounded in something deeper. Saying, I don't know, is not surrender. It's self-mastery. It means you've outgrown the need to impress. It means your peace isn't tied to your image. It means you're wise enough to stand in uncertainty without reaching for a mask. And here's the quiet irony. The more often you say, I don't know, the more people believe you when you finally say, I do know. Because honesty compounds. It builds credibility like interest over time. So the next time you're tempted to fill silence with speculation, don't. Hold your ground. Let the pause speak for you. And when you finally say it calmly. I don't know. You'll find that not knowing doesn't make you weaker. It makes you real. And in a world built on noise, that's power. But what about when someone's hurting and you can't fix it? That's where presence demands something deeper. Lesson 3. That sounds difficult. We're all wired to fix things. When someone tells us they're struggling, our instinct is to jump in, to offer advice, reassurance, or distraction. We do it because we care. But if you look closely, most of the time, we're not trying to ease their discomfort. We're trying to ease our own. We can't stand the silence of someone else's pain, so we fill it with words. Don't worry. You'll get through this. At least it's not that bad. We mean well, but those words rarely heal. Because what the other person hears is, Stop feeling that way. You're making me uncomfortable. And in that moment, our empathy becomes about us, not them. But presence, real, grounded presence, sounds different. It sounds like this. That sounds difficult. 4 simple words. No advice, no fixing. Just acknowledgement. Because acknowledgement is what most people are really searching for. Not solutions, validation, not comfort, connection. When you say, that sounds difficult, you don't take their burden away. You make it lighter to carry. Because for the first time, they don't have to carry it alone. The Stoics understood this form of strength. They called it rational empathy, the ability to feel with others without drowning in their emotion. Seneca wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." That line wasn't meant to glorify pain. It was meant to honor it, to remind us that surviving life's weight is itself an act of strength. Marcus Aurelius echoed that same idea when he wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Because compassion for a Stoic isn't indulgence, it's discipline. It's the calm acknowledgement of another's suffering without letting it consume your peace. And this is where presence becomes powerful, when you can sit with someone's pain without needing to rearrange it. Try it. Next time someone confides in you, resist the reflex to fix. Don't rush to fill the space with advice. Just listen, really listen, and say quietly, "That sounds difficult." You'll see something shift. Their body relaxes, their eyes soften, because for once, they're not being evaluated, they're being witnessed. That's Stoic empathy, feeling without falling, caring without collapsing. In a world addicted to speed, presence is rebellion. Everyone's rushing to respond. The wise person slows down enough to understand. And when you do that, when you can stay calm in the presence of pain, you become the steady flame in someone else's storm. You don't fix them. You simply remind them they're strong enough to face it. Because acknowledgement doesn't weaken you, it reveals you. It shows that compassion isn't about speaking, it's about staying. So when the silence stretches, let it. Don't run from it. Let it breathe between you until what's left isn't pain, it's peace. But what about the silence that follows? The space between your words, when you say nothing at all? Lesson 4. Silence. It's the word that isn't spoken, and yet it's the one everyone hears. Most people are terrified of it. The second a conversation goes quiet, they rush to fill the gap with noise, laughter, rambling, explanations that don't need to exist, because silence feels like exposure. As if the truth might step forward and reveal itself. But here's the thing most never realize. The people who are most comfortable with silence are the ones who hold the most power, because silence isn't absence, it's concentration, it's presence, condensed into a single moment. Think about the last time someone paused before speaking, not because they were nervous, but because they were choosing their words. That pause carried more weight than a paragraph ever could. Now think about the opposite. Someone talking without stopping, filling every second just to avoid stillness. You don't feel their confidence, you feel their fear. The Stoics understood this. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, told his students, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. He knew that silence is the first discipline of wisdom. It's how you keep your mind from spilling before it's ready. Marcus Aurelius practiced it too. He wrote, "If you can speak, speak what is necessary. If not, be silent." For the Stoics, silence wasn't emptiness. It was self-control made visible. Modern life trains the opposite. We confuse volume with value. We mistake constant output for connection. But noise doesn't create clarity, it buries it. Every time you allow silence to exist, you give others a chance to reveal who they really are, because people can't hide in quiet. The moment words stop, truth starts echoing. That's why great leaders, mentors, and thinkers listen longer than they speak. They let the pause do half the talking. And here's what you'll start to notice. When you stop filling every gap, the world starts leaning toward you. People pay closer attention. Your words begin to carry a strange kind of gravity, not because they're louder, but because they're earned. Silence is the punctuation that makes every sentence matter. It turns speech into meaning. It turns presence into power. So when you feel the urge to fill the space, don't. Hold it. Let the quiet stretch. Let it make you slightly uncomfortable. Because that discomfort, that's growth. That's the sound of your ego shrinking and your awareness expanding. Silence doesn't weaken your message. It becomes your message. And in that stillness, you'll discover something profound. You never had to shout to be heard. But presence isn't just about restraint, it's also about recognition, because silence gives power to words, and the next one might be the most human of them all. Lesson 5. I appreciate you. Most people say thank you out of habit. It's polite, expected, something you say when someone holds the door or replies to a message. But I appreciate you, that's different. That isn't about the act, it's about the person. Gratitude says, you did something for me. Appreciation says, you matter to me. And that difference changes everything. Because we live in a world where most people feel unseen. We celebrate achievement, not character. We reward outcomes, not effort. And beneath it all, people are starving, not for attention, but for acknowledgement. Everywhere you look, we see digital gratitude, likes, emojis, empty affirmations, but very little embodied appreciation. 1,000 people can double tap your success online, but it means nothing compared to one person looking you in the eye and saying, I appreciate you. When you say that, sincerely, without performance, without expectation, you remind someone that their presence has value. Beyond what they produce, that's rare, and rarity commands respect. The Stoics tied this truth to one of their core virtues, justice. To them, justice wasn't about law or punishment. It was about giving every person what they're due, and what every human being deserves most is dignity. Marcus Aurelius lived by that. He wrote, waste no more time wondering what a good man should be one. And being one means recognizing goodness in others when you see it, not with flattery, not with excess, just with honesty. That's what I appreciate you really is, honest recognition. It's seeing someone clearly and saying so. Modern life confuses visibility with value. We mistake being seen for being known. But appreciation does what validation never can. It makes a person feel real again. Because when you tell someone, I appreciate you, you're not commenting on what they've achieved. You're witnessing who they are when no one's watching. And that kind of recognition is unforgettable. People don't remember compliments. They remember moments when someone made them feel seen. And here's the paradox. The Stoic doesn't say it to get something back. He says it because truth demands acknowledgement. To appreciate someone is to practice justice. To recognize value in others sharpens the sense of value within yourself. So try it. Find one person you quietly respect but never say it to. Pause. Look them in the eye and simply say, I appreciate you. Then wait. Don't rush the silence that follows, because that pause will feel sacred, like something inside both of you just slowed down. For a brief moment, time steps aside and presence takes over. That's what appreciation does. It turns an ordinary moment into something eternal, so use it. Not often, not lightly, but when it's real. Because appreciation doesn't cost anything, and yet it can change everything. But appreciation means nothing without boundaries. Because to truly value others, you have to first value yourself. Lesson 6. No. It's one of the shortest words in the language, and one of the hardest to say. No. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid it. They say yes to invitations they don't want, projects they can't handle, and people who drain them. All because they're afraid of what happens when they refuse. We're taught that no means selfishness, that turning something down will make others think less of us. So we say yes again and again until we're exhausted, resentful, and quietly fading from our own lives. That's not kindness, that's surrender. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with you, you say no to something that does. Your peace, your energy, your direction. The Stoics understood this with brutal clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's the discipline of boundaries. To act according to principle, not pressure. A Stoic no isn't cold or cruel. It's precise. It's spoken without anger, but with absolute certainty. Because saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about protecting what is sacred within yourself. In a world addicted to overcommitment, restraint is rebellion. Modern culture tells you that more is better, more productivity, more hustle, more access. But the truth is the opposite. What you exclude defines you far more than what you include. You can't live with presence. If your attention is divided between obligations you never wanted in the first place, every no is a vote for clarity. Every boundary you draw sharpens the outline of who you are. And something powerful happens when you start saying it calmly. Without justification, without apology, the world begins to adjust. People start respecting the limits you enforce, because they can feel when your boundaries come from peace, not pride. Saying no doesn't make you difficult, it makes you deliberate. It tells the world, I know what matters to me. And that kind of conviction is magnetic. It doesn't push people away. It filters the ones who belong closer. Remember this. Yes gains meaning only when no has weight. So start small. The next time your intuition hesitates, listen to it. That pause is your truth asking to be heard. Honor it. Protect it. Because every quiet no you speak is a declaration that your time, your focus, your life are no longer for sale. But the real test of presence isn't in what you say. It's in who you become when the words end. Okay, get ready for a bonus that only those who made it this far even know about. So be proud. You've done something most people never do. You didn't just listen, you stayed. You didn't chase the next distraction. You chose to stay present. And that's the real power you've been building this entire time. But before we finish, I want to leave you with a bonus. Something you can test in the real world. Because presence isn't theory, it's practice. So I'm giving you a Stoic challenge. 6 small tests. Each one is simple, but definitely not easy. If you're up for it, comment, challenge accepted, so we know who is committed and who isn't. Challenge 1. The next time someone tells you a story, don't interrupt. Don't nod out of habit. Just say, tell me more about that. Then be quiet. Let the silence do the listening for you. Challenge 2. When someone asks you something you don't know, resist the urge to fill the air. Take a breath. Say, "I don't know." Feel the calm that comes when you stop performing certainty. Challenge 3. If someone opens up about something painful, don't rush to fix it. Don't offer advice. Just say, "That sounds difficult." Let the silence honor their courage. Challenge 4. Practice saying nothing at all. In your next conversation, let a pause hang in the air just a moment longer than feels comfortable. Watch how people lean into it. That's your presence expanding. Challenge 5. Before the day ends, find one person, friend, colleague, stranger, and tell them, "I appreciate you." No flattery, no performance, just truth. See what happens when recognition replaces noise. Challenge 6. Say no once this week to something small, something that doesn't serve your peace. Notice how it feels, not cruel, but clean. That's your boundary reminding the world who you are. Each of these is simple, but if you do them, really do them, you'll start to notice something shift. Conversations will feel lighter, people will listen closer, and you'll realize you were never trying to become magnetic. You were learning to be still, because the power you've been chasing was never volume. It was presence. It's always been there, waiting behind your words, in the space between them, where truth lives quietly. So here's your final step. Try these 6 challenges over the next 7 days. Then come back to this video and tell me what happened. And remember, if you're ready to live differently, to stop performing and start commanding respect, type "challenge accepted" in the comments right now. That's how we'll know who's not just consuming wisdom, but living it. If you like these 6 phrases for becoming more charismatic and attractive, you will love our video with 21 ruthless Stoic tactics to outsmart any manipulator. I'll put it on your screen now and in the description. Check it out and let me know your thoughts. See you over there. Stay stoic, my friends.